Okay, just wait. I need. Hello, everyone at home. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Sita?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Shall I just explain to people at home, as I think you all know, that we're going to start off with the regular English discussion for friends here, and then at 2 o'clock or about 2 o'clock, we're going to switch to the Vietnamese, so the Vietnamese at home can ask their questions, which will be translated. So for this first, so for this first half hour, we're ready to start. So I think Anne has something she's going to start with.
Yes, Jen. You have often spoke of, when we're talking about seeing or visible object, little dots appearing, and I guess I'd like to hear more about that. My understanding so far is that little dots would be little dots of the galapa containing color.
So what is seen just in a moment, only one moment of seeing? Many?
No,
That, or just one at a time?
At a time.
No one there. See,
Right.
When it's just a dot.
Right. And right. And it takes a lot of little dots to have anything look like something or someone. So that's the speed of nimitta. I mean, that's how many.
That's why it's always taken by way of nimitta.
Yes.
For whatever appears.
Right.
It'd be more correct to say that's the speed of citta,
Yes.
which creates the nimitta.
Yes. Yes, I can see that. Okay, well, thank you.
Is that Mickey Mouse?
Only with little dots.
So it's that John and Sarah. See, the same.
No.
Until the truth is realized.
Right.
To let go the idea of self. Not all completed yet, but it takes stage by stage to realize more and more and more the arising and falling of the nimitta and so on.
Right. So what can be known directly by the citta with understanding is the nimitta of the visible object, or nimitta of color. So that's a lot of dots it takes to even know.
Or even it's not that, it's the other object.
Yes.
Like thinking.
Right. It's so much easier to think of dots.
It's there all the time, but without any understanding of its truth, it cannot appear to be known as it's a reality, arising all the time. Any time of most seeing, hearing, smelling, thinking. That's why when we talk about thinking, what is that? Some people say that it's vitaka or sanya and so on. But it's a thinking, what experiences the object of thinking.
What experiences
and
the object.
Even not in word.
Right. Right. Well, in words.
Not only in word. For example, the mind-out process, the first mind-out, see, experience what? And
the first mind door?
Process after the process of seeing.
Oh, after the process of seeing. Okay. It experiences the, well, it would either experience the object of seeing or seeing itself, the citta that sees. I'm there be perfect.
Has to be this exactly the same object that was experienced through the
By
sense
or
door.
process.
So
Okay. So it'd be the
visible object,
yeah.
then it is
Right.
nimitta of visible object, exactly the same
Mhm.
characteristic that's experienced.
And if okay, that's the characteristic of visible object, which is experienced by the citta that sees. And when the citta that sees is the object of, say, understanding, that is what? It's the nimitta of the citta that sees. Sees, the citta that sees, yeah. The citta, yeah. Okay, yes.
I think the point that Ajahn was asking was the first mind door process. What is the object? So it's actually still
Same object,
visible
it's a sense
object,
pro- yes.
but the citta is thinking at that moment, even though it's the
Yes.
visible object that is
Yes.
experienced.
Yes,
It's
thank
still
you.
the chief of
Yes.
experiencing, thinking about the object, even though it's the reality of visible object
Right,
at that
and
moment,
at that point, it's,
but no words at
Right,
all, of
right.
course.
but if we were going to put some words around it, it's the nimitta, the first nimitta of the visible object that was experienced.
Nimitta, yes.
Beginning to understand the nature of that, which doesn't have any rupa with it, no shape, no form, no smell, nothing, only experiencing
Mhm.
right now. The
Citta.
experiencing is not that which is experienced.
I'm
not
sorry,
this-
the experiencing is not.
The color or the visible object, see, it's not the visible object which appears now, but it experiences that. That is what we call seeing,
Seeing experiences. Okay, it experiences
visible object.
visible object, which is not apparent, which does not appear to us now.
What is not apparent?
Visible object, because we're seeing people and things.
As nimitta.
Yes.
What Ajahn said a minute ago, I think you didn't quite catch it, but she said the seeing experiences the visible object, but the seeing is not apparent.
Or it does not appear.
It does not appear. What appears is the visible object.
Okay, yes, yes. The
And
see-
without understanding the nature of citta, can it be the moment of experiencing the truth of what we call citta?
I'm sorry, without understanding,
If citta does not appear as object, can there be the understanding of the character of citta?
no. Oh, okay. I can. Okay. Stay between. Thank you. Did you just ask me something?
About citta.
I was going to say it's your turn.
Citta is there now. No one knows.
Right.
Until we talk about it, to have wise considering of the truth of it, that it's there, not the reality which appears as color, a visible object or anything, but it's there, experiencing whatever is there.
It has to
It's
be.
experienced by citta all the time.
Yes, I guess what I'm still, when the citta that sees, when seeing is experienced,
Chitta sees.
Citta sees. That's right. But when that, yes, but when that is, when that is the object of a citta that is being experienced.
Now,
Well, I don't know.
why not now? Chitta is there now.
No,
Sees. Chitta is there now.
citta is
Think.
sees.
Chitta
That's
is
right. But it's not the object of experience.
what? It's not the object.
Seeing.
Right.
Right.
As long as the object appears, seeing does not appear.
Right. Okay. Okay. That's good. So if and when the citta that sees, seeing, is the object of experiencing, that is thinking. No, that's not
At
right at all.
moment when the object is not that which is seen, smelled, and so on, it depends on what chitta is there. Bhavanka
Mhm.
cannot think. So at moment of thinking, what things the chitta experiences the object,
Right.
which is not color, smell, taste, touch.
Yes, that's thinking. It does that. I guess what I'm thinking about is, for instance, if understanding were to get closer and closer to knowing, to experience, to knowing Nama, the citta,
Mhm.
citta, which sees, would that be, well, it would be a citta accompanied by panya and a bunch of other things that experienced
Can we say just
seeing as an object?
Yeah, as simple as considering, attending.
Okay. Okay. But there can be.
Why is the concept of citta with panya experiencing seeing consciousness, why is that
Why is that
difficult?
happening?
No, why is it difficult?
No, actually, that I don't find that difficult. I guess what I find difficult is somehow the leap from seeing and seeing a visible object, and
What you find difficult is the mechanics of it.
well, yes, Jonathan,
so,
but I
but
think
we-
that's something we don't. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're trying to work out the moment to moment process by which a moment of seeing a visible object becomes a moment of experiencing of the seeing consciousness.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what about the firm
I need to think about
confidence of the characteristic of chitta, that it's a reality, which is the chief of experiencing an object, anytime, any object, no doubt, it's there.
Okay. Not yet, but without doubt. But I think I understand what you're saying, John.
By conditions,
Yes.
panya, citta with panya arises to experience the seeing consciousness.
Okay. Yes. And I don't have to worry about the mechanics of that. But I understand what you mean. Yeah, just citta arises by conditions.
Because
to
citta can
experience
know
object.
anything, any object.
Okay.
Can
as the Dhamma
experience
keeps
any
reminding
object.
us.
It
It
can
can-
experience any concept,
Mhm.
any reality, all by conditions.
Well,
And it's there all the
All the
time.
time.
That's it.
Also, if we are too bothered about the mechanics of it, I mean, obviously there's curiosity, but if we are caught up in how does it happen, then it can be an obstacle to it happening, because it's actually a sort of trying to focus on the object, isn't it? To collect the object.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's true. I think the way you and Ajahn just said it, by conditions, Citta can experience the true nature of seeing. That's not how you said it.
And if there is understanding of seeing, the characteristic of seeing, the nimitta of that reality, there's no thought about how or why or when or what. It's just that reality which appears, just like if the reality of visible object, characteristic of visible object appears, there's no thought about what process it is or how. It's just that characteristic that appears, and we know it has to be nimitta. But at the moment that visible object appears, no thought about nimitta, no thought about how quickly or how fast or whether there are dots or anything, because it's just that characteristic that appears. It's the same with seeing, it's the same with hardness, it's the same with any reality. When it appears, it's just that characteristic that appears as it is, and the characteristic of any citta is different from the characteristic of any rupa, for example.
Okay, thank you. I think other people may experience this from time to time, learning more about the Dhamma, thinking about the various processes and, the witi. For me, I tend to think of it in slow motion. You slow it all down so that you kind of remember it, and I think that's where the slow motion piece comes into. You don't need to know this.
Well, some level of detail is useful to know, and other level of detail is more than is useful to know. Yeah, and maybe isn't even explained anyway.
I was getting into the excessive detail territory.
I don't know.
I was. Okay, well, thank you. That's helpful.
Because the understanding that counts is the understanding of the nature of realities, and not how they succeed one another, or of course there's some relevance in understanding conditions which have an impact on how jittas do, how realities do affect each other. But the main understanding is the nature of realities, their conditioned nature, and the characteristic of anicca, dukkha, anatta.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Azita or Alberto or Sita, do you have anything you would like to bring up while we're officially in the English discussion until 2? If so, please go ahead.
I was reading yesterday a little about it. When citta thinks, then is a mind object. Yes, please correct me if I'm wrong. But when citta experience an object, I try to focus. And citta, then is eye consciousness. What before Ajahn was saying, yes.
So at every moment in life, citta arises and experiences its object, and different cittas perform different functions when they arise. So the citta before seeing consciousness has the function of adverting to the object, for example, the visible object. The seeing has the function of seeing that visible object. The next two Vipaka Chittas have the function of receiving, investigating, and the next Chitta, the Kiriya Chitta, has its function of making way for the Kusala or Akusala Chittas that follow. Then when we come to the Kusala and Akusala Chittas, the Chitta itself, actually, we can say it thinks about the object, but no words at all. So even we're in the sense door process, it runs through the object. It thinks about the object with Kusala or Akusala Chaitasikas accompanying it. And then the Bhavanga Chittas that follow the end of the sense door process, they have the function of life continuum. They don't think, they don't see, they don't hear, but they have the function of continuing life. And then in the mind door process, the first Chitta has the function of adverting to the object. And then the following Chittas, Kusala or Akusala Chittas, think in a wholesome or unwholesome way because they are conditioned by the Chaitasikas that accompany them, even when it is Akusala Chitta. In fact, the Chitta itself is pure Pandara, but it's tainted, it's affected by the Akusala Chaitasikas that arise with it. So the Chitta, which is the leader in experiencing and which most of the time is thinking about the object, but this doesn't mean it must be thinking in words after seeing or hearing, and the other Vipaka Chittas. Even the first impression of the visible object, there is the Chitta thinking, and in the mind door process, just the beginning of thinking about the color, the shape, the form, the pattern, the impression, but no thinking in words at all. But still, it is the Chitta which is thinking at those moments, and experiencing the object. So it always experiences, and it depends on the kind of Chitta as to what its function is at any moment.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you.
Even after the Patisandhi Chitta, the first moment of life, followed by the Bhavanga Chittas, which continue life, and then when they're interrupted by a mind door process, and those Chittas experience an object with attachment, maybe just clinging to existing or experiencing their particular object, no thinking in words at all, but still it is thinking at those moments.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Sita. Maybe Ajahn would like to add more.
Is there any moment without Chitta?
Question for you, Sita.
No.
Right.
Chitta is always their experience.
So Chitta is not known because no attention to it. Until now, the seeing, it's not that which appears as different color. It is the moment of experience. It performs its function to experience an object. And that is the object which impinged on the eye base, condition it to be seen. The seeing arises. So at the moment of seeing, there must be the reality which experiencing an object. No matter what the object is, it's there all the time. While one is being fast asleep, is there Chitta?
No, the Chitta is pure.
What kind? What is its object? No matter what, it is Chitta which arises and experiences the object. But when the object is not known, like color and sound and so on, it experiences the unknown object. It's the object, which is the experiencing through any doorway at all. So we understand what is meant by Pavanka and process of Vitichitta. The chitta which does not perform the function of Pavanka at the moment of being fast asleep, experience the object through one doorway, whether it's eye door, ear door, or mind door. That's why in the day, chitta is there all the time, from moment to moment. Even right now, it's there, sees. Right now, it's there, things.
Yeah.
No matter when it's there. And if you don't talk about it, no one knows. Just think about that which is experienced in a day. And chitta is taken for I from birth.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
no one there. They're seeing. So see is me. The moment of seeing is me when there's no one. But in truth, seeing is a reality which sees. By conditions, it arises to see, not to hear, not to think. So no matter when and where and what the object is, it's citta which experiences that object, no one. This is the way to learn to understand that actually nothing can be taken for I or anything at all.
Mm.
Until
Thank you.
now, no Sarah, no John, no me, only visible object.
Yes.
And seeing sees, but right understanding is not seeing.
Yes.
It is another kind of citta with different cetasikas which can understand what is there. So, can citta understand?
Citta knows. Citta knows.
The reality which arises just to experience the object. Can it understand? The citta, can it understand? Can citta understand anything?
Citta arises to experience
Only.
an object. But citta needs other supporters, yes?
So understanding is another reality which understands the truth. Even it experiences the object, but it's not that one which is the chief of experiencing any object, no matter what. This is the differences between Vijnana Khanda and Sankhara Khanda and Vedana Khanda and Sanya Khanda, or Nama Khandas.
Yes. Thank you,
They are Dhamma, but why they are Khanda? Because there is upadana of all khandas. But what is the most desirable for everyone in life?
Yeah, thank you, Ajahn. Thank you.
What is that?
Yes, this is. Yeah, then
Sita, Ajah's question is, what is the most desirable khanda?
Yeah, there is a clinging, and am I correct? The clinging.
Otherwise, she's on the wrong track.
What is there most clinging to? What would we like most?
But what we see, we cling to an idea, we cling to, we're clinging to what we see, what we taste, what we hear. This, am I correct?
And what are we looking for all day from morning to night?
What are we trying to have all day?
So
Can we do the desire?
Always looking for pleasant feeling when eating, when lying down, when going for a walk, when looking around.
That is a Vedana Khandha then, yes?
Which khandha is most precious?
Yeah, the present Khandha, the present feeling.
Precious. Which is the
Yeah.
most precious, the most valuable, the most useful khandha?
The most useful is to develop this sanya. Sanya is where we have to develop. Am I correct? Sanya is one of the
Panya
khandha.
now. Panya khandha, part of Sankara khandha, panya itself.
Oh yeah, panya. Panya is a okay.
We talk about Sankara khandha. It includes 50 chaitasikas. So actually each one is a khandha. So panya is a khandha, pitaka is a khandha, pasa is a khandha. So panya, yes.
Panya is okay.
We're going to
Thank
just
you.
pause and switch to the Vietnamese discussion. I'm not quite sure how this is going to happen because I don't know where all the Vietnamese are. But Tam Bach, if you're there, perhaps you can just organize it. And,
yes. Hi, Sarah.
Thank you.
We can just stay on this channel. We don't need to change. And the Vietnamese will listen from their own channel. And anyone who wants to speak, you will see the person, and Thai will be translating from Vietnamese into English consecutively. But your answers will be simultaneously translated, so you don't need to pause.
are you sure we don't need to change channel because we can't see any of the Vietnamese? Okay. There.
Yes.
Okay.
There.
So you can just start, go ahead, and then we will speak normally.
very simple. It's the khandha now.
Hằng hay là chị Lan Khánh có thể giúp phần này được trao đổi thay cho người Việt vậy?
Lan Khánh, Liên, on behalf of the Vietnamese.
Okay, so yes, Ajahn, they are khandha now.
Why it's khandha?
Why khandha? Because those realities arise and disappear.
Each one, or
each one
Okay, so now
one by one.
which one is khanda now?
Oh, sound. So it is to me, and hearing. So sound is rupa khanda, and hearing is a vijnana khanda.
Can we say that all conditioned dhammas arising and falling away is khanda? Each one is a khanda.
Yes, they are conditioned.
Can
Each
we
one.
classify them?
Can we classify them? I'm not sure if I understand Ajahn question. Can we classify them? Yes, from what I've learned so far, I can classify them.
So please tell us about the
Some more.
classification of the meaning of khanda.
Oh, okay. So from the there's 5 khandhas.
What are the 5?
Yeah, what we call we ourselves are 5 khandhas. I mean, not this is a concept, but come from the 5 khandhas.
No, not 5. 1 khanda, please.
Just one at a time. Yeah, rupa khanda to start with.
What does it mean? Rupa and khanda.
Yeah. So rupas mean realities that can all conditioned, arise and disappear by conditioned, and they don't experience anything.
Can it arise again after it has fallen away?
No,
never
just
to
arise,
return,
never
just
to
one
return.
reality.
Correct, yes.
Is it present or past of vision?
They just arise and disappear at this moment. Yep, they're always at this moment.
Present?
Yes.
And after that?
But just disappear, gone straight away. Yes.
And the next moment?
The next moment arrives.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing is permanent at all.
No,
okay.
Ajahn. Okay.
Why we classify them as 5 khandhas?
Why we classify them as 5 khandhas? So I don't know why 5, but I know that rupa by itself, just one khandha by itself.
One khandha.
One.
And then another fall.
Disappear, and then another arise and disappear. But that's a rupa khanda we're talking about, yeah. Okay. And with nama, there are 4 khandhas.
What are they, please?
For example, sanya khanda. They are here and arise and disappear.
Why would it classify sanya as sanya khanda while all conditioned realities are khanda?
From what I've learned, sanya is like there are 52 Chestasikas, but sanya by itself is a khanda. And because the memory, marking and remember is something is very important, something that we cling to or attach to all the time. And it got some significance. Therefore, it is a khanda by itself.
Even there are other khandhas.
There are other khandhas.
But it's so important too.
Yeah.
Without it, there cannot be anyone or anything at all.
Yep. Yep.
But it is a reality which arises with each moment.
Yep.
And it's taken for self.
Yeah.
Very strongly.
Yeah.
That's why if it does not appear to be known, can there be letting go of clinging to it?
Well, if we don't know, it is just a khanda arise and disappear by condition, and we take it for me and this is my memory, then there's no chance to let go. I think we just cling to it. My memory, my family, and it's all mine, and I don't think there's a opportunity for letting go.
Another word for it is just the Rupupatthana Khanda. See,
Yes. Yeah.
what does it
Yeah.
mean?
Upadana Khanda. Clinging to the khanda and thinking this is me and this is my body or my family or and also I know that the upadana also has another meaning, which is one is the result or object of clinging and another one is a result of clinging. Is that right, John?
The Upadana Khanda refers to the reality, the rupa or the sanya, for example, or Vedana. At the moment, it is the object of clinging.
Yeah.
So when it's not the object of clinging, it's
Not
Khanda,
upadana.
but it's not Upadana Khanda. But when the hardness is the object of clinging, it's Upadana Khanda. And the other meaning of Upadana refers to those realities conditioned by karma. For example, eye sense is the rupa, which is upadana, conditioned by karma.
Okay. Yes, it's all come down to this moment. I think we often forget, consider this moment, like you just remind me, Achan and Sarah just reminded me, because otherwise it will be book knowledge again easily.
Like when we talk about clinging to the story about my family, that is not upadana khanda, because khanda is the reality. So the pleasant feeling now, upadana khanda, when there is clinging to the pleasant feeling at this moment.
At this moment.
Yeah.
Always at this moment. Yes. So that was, we was talking about only sanya. And the next one would be
About
Vedana.
Vedana before
Vedana.
sanya, yes.
Yeah.
Rupa Vedana.
Vedana Khanda.
Why is Vedana a khanda?
So feeling is also of significance, because that's something that, like in the previous session with Sita, Sarah already mentioned that that is something very important, desirable, because every day, every moment is about wanting to have pleasant feeling, want to see something pleasant, want to hear something pleasant, or
And trying to avoid unpleasant feelings.
and avoid unpleasant feeling. Therefore, by itself, the Jessika, Vedana Jessika by itself is a khanda. Sorry.
Pleasant feeling, very common upadana khanda.
Yes, yes.
While enjoying the lunch, enjoying the
my
visible
dessert
objects around. Strong
taste.
upadana khanda.
Yep.
Even enjoying the discussion.
But then there can be. Okay. No, I was thinking of gender, but gender is different. But when you said about enjoying the discussion, that must be loba. Is that loba or gender?
I would be interested in the discussion.
It could be kusala or akusala chanda, but we're getting away from upadana khanda because we're talking about a situation, not khanda itself. So Vedana is khanda, upadana khandas. Sanya is khanda, upadana khanda, when it's the object of clinging just that reality, not the pleasant lunch or the discussion, but just the khandha itself, the reality itself. And what about the next?
Sankhara Khanda. And so I know that there's a 50 Jastasika, the remaining 50 Jastasikas are classified as Sankhara Khanda. But I didn't know that each one is a khanda, like Sarah just mentioned about Sanya, by itself is a khanda. I didn't know that. I thought all of them, and a khanda, that means all of them are Sankhara.
Actually, whenever
Khanda.
any reality arises and falls away, that is the meaning of khandha. It arises and falls away. So we say they are, or all the others are Sankhara Khanda, but each one arises and falls away. Therefore, it is khandha.
Yep.
So
okay,
why are they Sankhara Khanda? Why are they khandha?
So the word khanda, I've heard the explanation was arise and disappear, right? Arise and falls away. So that's the khanda.
So it's like we've pointed out why Vedana is special and so commonly object of attachment. So it is khandha, and you explained why sanya, the marking, the remembering, is so important. Without sanya, no thinking, no clinging, and so on. It's khandha. And then by Sankhara Khanda, it's just showing all other Chaitasikas are khandhas. Each one is conditioned. Each one arises and falls away. Each one can be the object of clinging.
Okay. Yeah.
And what is not khanda?
I think everything is khanda except concept. They're not khanda. The rest, nibbana, of course, nibbana is not included.
Wise considering.
And what about the last khandha we haven't mentioned yet?
The
very important one.
The word vijnana khanda, that include all the chitta, right? All the chittas. Like now, seeing and hearing, thinking, they're all vijnana khanda. And there's attachment to seeing, hearing, right? So that's upadana.
Is there any chitta in life that doesn't arise and fall away?
No.
So that's why every chitta is
chitta.
khandha. Whenever it arises and falls away, it is khandha, each one. So we could say, just like we said, panya, each Chaitasika is khandha, we can say every chitta is khandha. We can classify like by way of 5, but actually we could say every chitta arises and falls away. So each one is khandha when it arises and falls away.
Okay. Yep.
And are there any chittas which cannot be the object of clinging?
Yes, I think only, not the object of clinging, only the is that phala? No, lokuttara. Yeah, the 8 lokuttara chittas.
I have to separate you two.
Yeah. No, just I don't remember the name, but I know what it is. Yeah, I will.
The lokuttara, the Magampala chittas, yes.
May I ask a question? What is the translation of khandha into English?
Gautam, can you please repeat that? I don't think we heard that.
Yes. Yeah, because we've heard explanation that khandha means arising and passing away. On the other hand, we also heard that the translation into English is the aggregate, and that denotes something like group or like that. And yeah, I think I would like to hear more explanation of this point. Thank you.
Yes, that's a good point, because that's what I've been taught as well. Like it's a group rather than just arise and fall away.
Can you understand what Tom said? So we know each khandha is the rising and falling away of the conditioned reality, but the word khandha, as translated into English and probably in Vietnamese, means more like a group or a collection. So it seems to have a very different meaning. So she would like your comment.
Without only one together, can there be the group? That's why each one arising and falling away together, or just only one. By way of group, we can say khandha. No matter the past, the present, or the future, that which arises and falls away. The group of those reality which arises and falls away. And then there can be another classification of what are there in the group, to be feeling and so on. Each one is khandha. Without one, can there be the group? The group of one is khandha. So one is khandha. And those which arises and falls away, just one, is the group of those who arise and falls away. So I think that the understanding is more important than just the word. So when one thinks the khandha is group, what are there in a group?
For example, rupa, we read whatever rupa, past, future, present, far, near, so on and so on. Each one is khandha. So each rupa is a khandha. But khandhas have to arise in a group, as we know, and without any nama dhammas, there cannot be any experiencing of rupas. So we know that actually there are always 4 nama dhammas arising together at every moment in life, because there is always sanya, vedana, sankhara, khandha dhammas and vijnana. So they always arise together. But when we look at, for example, the definition in the suttas or the Dhamma Sangani about khandha, it says, you know, whatever rupa is here, there, far, near, gross, subtle, and so on, each one is a khandha, and the same for all the other khandhas.
So is that the group, the past, present, future, near, far, subtle, gross?
No, that is saying how each one, every rupa, whether it was past or future, whatever, each one is a khandha. But why called khandha? Because they have to arise together. They cannot just be one.
Sanya khandha is vitaka khandha. Whatever arises is a khandha. That's why one moment 4 namakhandhas arise together by way of how many namakhandha in that moment.
And that's why I think earlier Ajahn asked, oh, is it present or past or future? But just as each one that arises and falls away now is khandha, so it was in the past. The seeing a moment ago, the different cetasikas a moment ago, each one was a khandha, and in the future, the same. So understanding the reality now, understanding the reality that arises and falls away now, there is the understanding that's how it was before, that's how it will be, that's how it always is. Cannot be one nama khandha arising on its own, for example.
So is Viriya Khanda? See?
Yes, yes, Ajahn. So it is a khandha. But when you said the past, present, future, so even it arises, fall away, and it's the past already, we still said, oh, that's a khandha. I thought it's only now at this moment.
It was a khandha. No more. It's gone. Sunyata.
Yeah.
So the virya now is khandha. The virya a moment ago was khandha.
Yeah.
The virya about to come is khandha, will be khandha when it arises.
I'm not sure if this is the situation, but when understanding is developed to a very high degree, then it comes to know that not only the present reality is like this, but all past and all future realities of the same kind are like this.
Yep. Yep.
So there's an inferential knowledge about all realities, whether past, present, future, near or far, etc.
Yeah.
And this seems to be implicit in the development of understanding of the khandhas, as opposed to the other classifications like dhatu or ayatana.
Okay. Yep. We've been reminded this quite a few, many times, that if we understand the Dhamma in this present, then we would understand, Dhamma in the past and the future, because they have the same characteristics.
Right. So as Sarah just said, it's always the understanding of the present reality, but it is related to, when it's sufficiently developed, it's related to the past, the past and the future also.
Yeah.
Like we discussed in one of the discussions yesterday with Griffin, I think, seeing, the characteristic of seeing, just the reality of seeing, which sees what is visible, sees the color, that citta, the nature of that citta, is just the same, no matter now or in the Buddha's time or in the future, no matter the dog seeing, the seeing in Vietnam or Australia, it's just the reality of seeing. So when there is the understanding of the reality itself, no doubt about what was seeing yesterday or what will seeing be tomorrow. And same with hardness. Hardness is just hardness, no matter soft hardness or very hard. It's just that reality, just that characteristic, no matter when or where or in the forest or at home. So this is what is meant by past, future, present. It's just that reality. Same characteristic, no matter what hardness.
And we've had the experience on the discussion group that people don't think the Buddha could really know seeing, for example, because modern day science is so much more advanced. And Buddha only knew what was scientific knowledge then. So, of course, they're missing the point completely, that it's the seeing of the present moment that is being directly known as it is by its characteristic. It's nothing to do with how it comes to be there. It's just what is presenting at the present moment. And that was the same then as it is now. But so one may not have For us, we can accept that, but for other people, that's a difficult proposition to accept.
Are there any questions from behind the screen on the other channel? Anyone who is ready to ask any questions? I can see one of the sisters, perhaps she's ready to ask a question.
Yes, I have a question. I want to talk a little bit more about Sanya because it's one of the separate group in the Khanda.
Sorry, we're not hearing the translation because we could hear the voice of the questioner at the same time. Could you repeat the question?
Oh, okay, sorry. Yes, sorry that the question is we want to hear more about the Sanya Khanda because this is actually grouped as one of the separate Khanda, so it must have some importance meaning to that.
Is there any remembering now? Do you know who's this?
Yes.
You or what remember?
I think it must be Sanya that is remark and remember.
So it's a reality which is not citta, right? And it's not other reality. It's not feeling, it's not think, vitaka. It's the moment of remembering what's there. Or even not in word. It arises with each citta and it remembers each moment.
Yes, but in terms of the importance. Yes, but I want to understand a little bit more about the importance of the Sanya, why it is so important that it can be classified in one single Khanda group.
Any reality which appears should be known, otherwise the I is there or something is there.
We talked about the feelings that we find so important, always craving for the pleasant feeling and avoiding unpleasant feeling. But how is it known what is the pleasant feeling that we like so much without sanya marking and remembering this taste, that taste? How can there be the searching all the time for the pleasant feeling? So the liking is guided by sanya all the time. Even now, when speaking, it's because of sanya marking and remembering the words. Without sanya, can there be any thinking about what has been heard at all? Can there be any thinking about the pleasant tastes? Can there be any understanding of reality at all? So sanya at each moment remembers what is there to be enjoyed or to not be enjoyed or to be thought about again and again. Like at nighttime when dreaming, endless thinking about different stories, different dreams, different fantasies, even when waking up, still thinking about different stories, all because of sanya. So it shows what a big role sanya plays in the day. And usually it's sanya vipalasa, akusala sanya, sanya with lobha, sanya with ignorance, sanya with dosa, marking the object, marking the experience, even when remembering the names of our friends and remembering what all the Thai dishes on the table or all the Vietnamese dishes are called. It's sanya vipalasa, just sanya with lobha and ignorance most of the time. But at moments of understanding, moments of kindness, at moments of kusala, there is kusala sanya at those moments. So all day, sanya leads to the thinking, the liking, the disliking, different kinds of experiencing. Do you have any comments, Như Hoa?
Dạ, đúng là chỉ có những khi được nghe rồi được trao đổi về từng pháp một, nó làm chức năng phận sự của nó, thì những cái thời điểm được suy xét về những pháp ấy, thì tạm thời có một chút suy xét về các pháp chân đế, thì nó bớt đi những cái ở khoảng khắc đây, nó bớt đi ý niệm về ngã, rồi lại tiếp tục lại là có tạ tà kiến, nó lại theo thói cũ, nên là rất cần được trao đổi về các sự thật, các pháp chân đế ạ.
Yes, I think it is very clear that only when being reminded and in the discussion that we can remember, otherwise it's back to the atta and the wrong view again about everything is atta. So it is very needed that there need to be discussion, there needs to be more hearing.
And sometimes, like I think we have discussed before, there may be doubt, oh, I've heard so much about seeing now, hearing now. Do I really need to listen anymore, consider anymore? Well, the point is that the sanya vipalasa is so very common. The clinging is there, clinging to the pleasant feeling, avoiding the unpleasant feeling. The ignorance is there most of the time. So without the reminders to condition the reflection again and again and again, lobha rules most of the time, ignorance rules most of the time. So I think this is the answer you've given, is the answer to why we need to keep hearing reminders and keep hearing about realities such as sanya in different aspects. Hear about realities as khandhas, as ayatanas, as dhatu, as paticca samuppada. We need to hear in many different ways, because the deep-rooted idea of I, as you've mentioned, is there most of the time otherwise. Like at lunchtime, Leanne and I were talking yesterday and today about thinking about one's family and helping with Dhamma and sickness and difficulties. But even at those times when it seems to be a caring most of the time, because of sanya, one is just lost in the story with attachment. And it's all about me, my family, this person, that person, forgetting all about khandha at this moment, rupa khandha at this moment, Vedana khandha, not my pleasant feeling or unpleasant feeling, just Vedana rising and falling away, not my good or bad memory, but just moments of sanya arising and falling away, never to return. Thank you, Như Hoa. Anything else you would like to add?
Đúng là khi không hiểu về giá trị của các pháp thì hoài nghi nó sẽ sinh khởi, vì nó nghe mãi rồi chắc là chỉ là tưởng thôi, chỉ là sanya, nhưng mà chưa có cái trí hiểu về, nên nghe riết thì nó chán, cho đến khi mà đủ duyên để cái suy xét nó hiểu được giá trị của thực tại ạ.
Yes, I think when we don't appreciate that the value of the Dhamma, then there would be doubt. And for example, when we hear more and we think that it's just sanya, we thought that we understand. And when there's not enough understanding, then there would be boredom. There would be, not interested in hearing.
that is not in that condition.
And even when there's understanding, it's a khandha, it arises and falls away and gone. And a few moments later, there can be ignorance and boredom and clinging. So this is daily life. Different dhammas, all conditioned, none of them belonging to me. That's the main point. So when studying khandha, the main point is the understanding that these are just dhammas that are conditioned and each one gone. Sunyata, none of them belonging to me, not my boredom, not my interest, not my understanding, just different khandhas.
Sarah, can we summarize that?
Thank you, Ajahn, and thank you, Sarah.
Can you summarize that the reason why Sanya and Vedana are classified as separate khandhas is because they are there all the time and they are very prominent object of clinging, right?
I think the Vedana is a very prominent object of clinging and also of aversion. So always wanting the pleasant feeling, always avoiding the unpleasant feeling, always looking for it. And the Sanya remembers the feeling, remembers what is liked, remembers what is to be avoided. So it conditions the thinking to keep thinking with clinging about the pleasant feeling, conditions the thinking to keep thinking with aversion about what is unpleasant, and keeps thinking about one idea after another with regard to what has been seen and heard. So it just plays its very, very important role in a day.
I'll just add briefly another way of thinking about this Dhamma is because there's no actual explanation given, as far as I know, in the text in answer to that question. But so we are speculating somewhat. But it's possible that the Buddha chose the different kinds of classification in order to give emphasis to different things that need to be understood at a certain level. So just like in the suttas, some sutta emphasize sati, Satipatthana Sutta, and other sutta emphasize, I don't know, awareness of the body, and then we have Anatta-lakkhana Sutta, so on and so forth. Some sutta emphasize the role of concentration in developing understanding, and other sutta emphasize the role of virya in understanding, for example. So there are different things that are drawn to the attention of the listener, conditions for considering things from a different angle. And it might be, so it could be considered as a presentational strategy rather than anything, that's like absolute in nature. Yeah, just a thought.
Thank you for your helpful comment.
It's there now in order to understand the truth of no one at all, because each one is so real when it's there conditioned just to arise and then fall away instantly. Just think about the truth, whether it's so true right now. Seeing is not hearing, and they cannot arise together. And at moment of seeing right now, what are there? Not just only one reality. Learn to understand what are there in order to understand. Without what which is conditioned to arise together, there cannot be moment right now seeing at all. each moment, we can understand a little more about what is the truth, which is there differently. For example, the seeing itself cannot remember, cannot feel. But at moment of seeing, it's not just the reality which arises to experience the object, just the object only. But there is also a reality arises together at moment of seeing, which feel towards that object. And the other one just remember or mark the sign of that object to be understood as seeing is this moment of seeing, not hearing, different moment. To understand each moment in life that is only conditioned realities arising and falling away. Is that true? Nothing to be done at all, because the truth is the truth. But ignorance is there, not understanding what sees, what remembers, and what feels at all. That's why we learn about different realities right now, anytime, to understand the truth of each moment as it's only a moment of condition to arise, to experience an object. That's why Buddha taught for 45 years to understand each one deeper and deeper, until understanding develops from hearing, considering, to be directly understanding what is there right now. Just like moment when there's no understanding, but it's there, but no understanding. But now a moment of what is there, beginning to be that which can be understood about the truth of it. It is not there all the time. Seeing is so short. At moment of hearing, there's no seeing. And what are there at moment of seeing and moment of hearing? All of them cannot be taken for anything permanent or I, because seeing is conditioned to see and then gone. Whereas the I, seeing is seeing and then gone after it has arisen, just to see and then gone. So which one is I? They are different realities. That's all. Learn to understand little by little of what is there as it is. For example, there is memory right now. It knows what is there. And we can say it remembers or it marks what appears as something all the time and not forget that it's there. Is it there real in life? Remembering what is seen, heard, and so on. But it just arises by conditions to see, to remember, to like, to feel. That's all. Is that true? Just learning to understand what is true and what is not true, and have confidence of the truth to let go the very, very strong idea of self, of something there all the time, even right now. So learn to understand what is there now is taken for something, and I, and people. In truth, what are they? Just a moment of seeing, right? And only one moment of seeing. Nothing can appear as shape and form to be taken for something at all. Just a dot. But how many moments of seeing? Everything is seen because they impinge on the eye base only one little moment at a time. Condition the shape and form. It seems like nothing falls away at all, but in truth, this moment is so short, in split seconds of split seconds. Is that true? who know the different moment between seeing and hearing and thinking right now, until there is understanding of each different one. Remembering, mark and remember what is experienced. Is it there a reality which remembers now who's who, what's what? Can that reality feel sad or pleasant or indifferent? Unknown, everything are there together right now. That's why we learn to understand what is meant by enlightenment, understanding the absolute truth, ultimate truth of what is there. So very short and gone. That which hasn't arisen yet, is it future? And when it appears arising, is it present? And then it's gone, it's past. So what is now? No one learn to understand what is there as it is, the absolute truth. Nobody can change. Are there you? Yes or no?
No, Ajahn.
It is the moment of remembering or understanding. See, different ones again, different realities. Learn to understand each different one clearer and clearer, to let go the clinging and taking it for something or me or mine. So when the truth appears, nobody here at all, while Jonathan is sitting here and Sarah is there, see, all the time. And what is the truth, the absolute truth?
Yes, at this moment, to be truthful, I do see Jonathan, Sarah, Ajahn, and everyone's here. But with intellectual understanding, I'm confident at that level intellectually that there's nobody, there's only Nama and Rupa.
With a very firm confidence, can there be a moment of not forgetting at all what is heard about the truth?
Yep.
But what's the difference, Leanne, between saying there is someone and there is Nama and Rupa? Because you said, I'm confident there's nobody, only Nama and Rupa. So what's the difference between saying there is someone and saying there is only Nama and Rupa?
Okay. I want to relate your question back to something we talked about earlier. We said, I don't know who said, I forgot, maybe yourself, about even the Sotapanna or Arahant, they still cognize as conceptualize, everything as we are, as everyone is. However, they don't mistaken, the concept for real. Don't take it as something real. So for people who don't have that understanding, then still conceptualize everything, see everything as there, but mistakenly taking that for real and have no idea about what actually the truth of everything is just Nama and Rupa. And because of Nama and Rupa arise and disappear so quickly and leave behind the nimittas that, left the image of people, shape and form, and where memories, sanya, wrongly taken as this is this person or people and thing. I don't know if I answered your question.
I think I agree with everything you've said there. So, but we can, if a person says there's only Nama and Rupa, then that's book knowledge, of course,
yes,
for us.
Agree.
So one can give a label to the Nama and Rupa. We can give a label to different things, and we do for convenience, but couldn't live without labels. So we can label Nama and Rupa, Chitta, Jeta, Sikra and Rupa as a person.
Yes, yes.
And it's not necessarily wrong view to do that. So it depends.
But not necessarily with
depends whether the
understanding.
question is what the question is. So if the question is about ultimate realities, then of course the answer is, in the ultimate sense, there are only Nama and Rupas.
So what are they from moment to moment?
Just realities, Ajahn.
What are they?
What particular reality?
Particular realities. Just right now, so there's a seeing and seeing visible object, but straight away taking for that's not the answer. I've been here long enough.
What are they? Thinking.
Thinking a lot. Thinking
and
a
then
lot.
Gone.
Yes, thinking a lot, Ajahn.
And at each moment now, what is experiencing its object?
Can you say that again?
At each moment now, what is experiencing the object?
Citta.
Yeah, at each moment.
Yes.
Chief in experiencing.
Yes.
If it's not seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, or bhavanga cittas, or most of the day, most of the time, it's thinking.
Thinking most of the time.
Gone.
Oh, gone. Yes.
Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking.
If there's no thinking about my uncle and the discussion we had and his visit, is there any uncle?
No.
If there's no thinking about my home in Sydney, is there any home in Sydney? No. So life is
Only
just
thinking.
in the moment, yes.
But that come back to Sister Nyuwa's question. See, because of the sanya, the memory, that's object of thinking. We think about home, about people, about family, right?
So we can see why sanya plays such an important role. Without sanya, no idea about my uncle or my home or Sydney or anything at all, or what I ate for lunch or what happened to me yesterday or the conversation this morning, all because of sanya conditioning the thinking all the time. So life is just at a moment now. Actually, no uncle, no Sydney, no lunch today.
But that sanya isn't always bad in that sense. Like we the way we explain like sounds like, oh, because of sanya we remember this and that, we're clinging with like and dislike or things like that. But also sanya help with understanding too, right? Because of sanya, I remember what I've heard, the right to help with right understanding to continue to develop. So
So that's why there's kusala sanya and akusala sanya, but most of the time it's akusala sanya, sanya vipalasa, thinking with ignorance and attachment, long stories about this or that, and atasanya, when it's taking it for something, someone, so commonly during the day. So the moments of not bad sanya, of kusala sanya, are few and far between. At moments of understanding, at moments of kindness, moments of generosity. When it's not those moments, sanya vipalasa.
Yeah, most of the time.
And is thinking understanding?
Thinking, that is the function of chitta, and chitta by itself doesn't understand. But if thinking with understanding, with wisdom, with right understanding, then that is understanding. But chitta, it doesn't understand.
Even now, understanding arises with thinking. It's not the direct understanding of the nature of a reality. So it's still the moment of thinking.
Yeah. Yep. Correct. Yes, I agree. Yes, like when we say wise considering, it's still thinking.
Is there any moment without thinking?
Yeah, there's a moment without thinking, like the moment of seeing and hearing. That's not thinking.
What understanding?
Understanding is just a sika. Understanding is just a sika that arise with thinking, arise with the chitta through the mind door. Through the mind door. Is that correct?
It has to be learned little by little, stage by stage.
Yeah. So Ajah's question earlier was, can thinking understand, right? So in this case, when Ajahn said, in any case, with intellectual understanding, then it's still thinking. But of course, that's not a function of
thinking.
chitta.
Thinks. Can the thinking understand?
No, the thinking. I mean, chitta thinks. No, it doesn't understand. But it have to arrive together,
Yes,
accompanied by the
chitta itself doesn't understand or know anything.
Yes.
It just
does
experiences the
its
object,
function.
thinks about the object.
Yeah.
Chitta thinks about the object, but the supporting factors are there, the vitaka, and if it thinks wisely, there'd be anya.
So when panya arises, no matter whether it's a little or great panya, it understands. But the chitta, the thinking, just thinks about it. It's the chief and experiencing. It's just gone 3. Maybe we just continue for another 10 minutes until 1:15 or something like that. So if anyone else has anything they would like to ask, please go ahead.
I can have a small question. That is with regard to taking what is not given. We know that usually when talking about taking what is not given, it's about material things. But there are situations where, for example, many things that people don't want others to be seen. For example, their private diaries, things like that, or even their private things that they don't want to show to everyone. And sometimes there can be the inclination to look at what is not allowed, for example. I can see that the citta in that case is not kusala. But yeah, I think that is a very, very thin line here. So I'd like to hear your comments on this.
And what is the significance of knowing where the line is to be drawn?
I feel that it's a kusala, but I don't know whether it's really like reaching the precepts, for example.
And what is the significance of whether it's actually a breach of a precept as opposed to just a kusala?
I'm not sure. I just feel naturally I don't feel good when I do that.
So it depends on the degree to which the precept is to be observed, I suppose. Because the monk was accused of being a smell thief by smelling the lotus flower. So that implies taking what is not given and what is not appropriate for a monk to take. But it's just a personal thing, I think. Most people would agree with your sense of it not being appropriate to peek into another person's private diary or whatever they would want to keep from. But I don't think it really matters whether it falls within that precept or not. As you say, it's clearly akusala.
Yes.
And at those moments of akusala, no consideration, is just one's own curiosity, and especially if it's at a, done in an underhand way when the other isn't looking. So we can see it can be quite strong akusala that accumulates and anyway can support other karma that brings its result, even if it's not actually taking, even if it's not in itself the kind of karma that can bring result by way of rebirth. It can support other karma bringing its result.
Thank you, Sarah.
One can see that in a sense, the owner of the diary, for example, is not deprived of anything that they have, other than you could say they're deprived of the exclusive knowledge of what's in there. But I don't see that amounts to taking what is not given, because it's not a taking as such. It's in experiencing of something that is not given, but I wouldn't really consider it a taking from the owner in any sense.
But they might be hurt because of that.
There's lots of things that might hurt another person's feelings, but they don't amount to a breach of precept. Yeah, that's their problem, really, if they get upset about something that, yeah.
Something that they wrote confidentially in their diary. I can see being upset about that.
you can see that the chitta that does what is not appropriate, it is not straight. It doesn't have the straightfulness. It's not good.
Yes, but it's not deceptive, for example, and it doesn't seem to me to be depriving the owner of anything that they don't have.
So you get the example of the monk who was accused of smell thief. So that is in the context of the monkhood that the word theft was used, or can you say a little bit more? Thank you.
I can't really remember much, except that he was described by, I guess it was the Buddha, as a smell thief. But that may be a not a literal use of the term, but a metaphoric use of the term.
Pointing to the danger of any lobha, like any curiosity, like looking at what Hung's notes say. It's lobha, it's curiosity, it's akusala, but it's not of the degree that will bring results. And the same smelling the lotus flower, lobha there. So it just points out the danger of any lobha, even now, anytime.
I think the situation there was the monk went to bathe in the pond, and while doing so, he smelt the lotus flower that was there.
A question about the subject of privacy and precepts, and I don't know very much about the precepts, but for example, viewing another person's diary, it wouldn't be causing damage to that person. They don't know, but it's just the individual viewing it. But I have another question in a much grosser example. For example, walking and looking into someone's window, and they're at home thinking that they have privacy, but that's not breaking a precept. I don't understand this.
I think it's like, again, looking at what someone has written and what they're doing. It's curiosity, it's lobha. It's not consideration for the other's well-being, not consideration for those in the house, not consideration for the others who are writing in the book or the diary. So it's not kindness, it's not consideration, it's not metta, it's just common lobha. Okay, I think
it's not breaking a precept.
No, nothing is taken.
I see.
No one is harmed.
But what if
and if they are upset and draw the curtains, as Jonathan said, that's their problem. Anything one may do, the way one sips one's tea, anything may cause unhappiness to someone else. Someone may not like it. The way one gestures with one's arm, anything at all. So what we're talking about is one's own chitta. So one is considerate because one would like others to have pleasant feeling and not to have unpleasant feeling. But for the other, when there is unpleasant feeling, when there is dosa, that's because of their own accumulations.
Okay, and what if the peeping Tom viewing into window sees woman naked after shower or something? It's still the same thing. Nothing is taken.
He has a problem.
Because where
but
did
is it come apart? Is it breach of a precept?
She didn't close her curtains.
Or the curtains were translucent or something.
Okay, I think we can continue. We can continue this in the English discussion because this is the Vietnamese discussion. So we'll carry on in the English discussion tomorrow. So we'll finish the Vietnamese discussion now. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Tambak.
Yes. And we'll see everyone in Vietnam next week at the regular time.